Put it all on me. Put it on me. Put it all on me. Put it on me. Put it on me. Hey, lean, lean, lean. Is it the same? Zanzaline, Zanzaline. Put it on me. Hey, lean, 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 lean.
What's going on, folks? What is going on? This is your boy, the 10X Closer at Instagram, 10X Closer. They call me that guy. And this is the Garage Billionaire Podcast, episode 1. And we are bringing this to you guys to inform you, on current events, how to make money, how to get out of the rat race, just a bunch of different topics. And I'm sitting here with my guest host,
Ralph Rush at Instagram, at Ralph Rush. Thank you for having me.
and we're just here. This is my longtime friend.
Yeah,
We
for
on
sure.
the same wavelength.
For sure.
And we just here to chop it up and speak to the people real quick.
For sure.
What are we talking about today, Ralph?
We got a couple things we're going to touch on. I mean, I know a lot of people have been bitten by the entrepreneur bug lately. And everybody's an entrepreneur, and everyone has, their idea of what an entrepreneur is. But there are people that do have regular jobs, right?
Right.
That are I guess, in the rat race, in the 9 to 5.
They are trapped. They are
They're
trapped in the 9 to 5 rat
Yeah.
race, and we could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like, having that entrepreneurial bug, but still having to have a job. It's like, what, do I make this leap? Do I leave everything behind and focus 100%? That's kind of like the questions people are always asking, like, what do you do if you do have that spirit? You know what I mean? Like, and a job and responsibilities. So I feel like that's something that is gonna all depend. It's gonna all depend on by situation. That's a by situation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on your circumstance.
Right.
I mean, you have some people that are gonna jump out, jump off the limb or off that cliff,
Right.
and get burnt. But everybody can't do that. Just like I was saying earlier with Joe Budden, he was on his podcast, and I seen a clip, and that kind of brought up a little small controversy, I guess, amongst entrepreneurs and the people that are doing the 9 to 5s. And it's basically that he said, if you have a dream, you just got to go out and do it. Like,
Right.
even if you have a job, you jump off the edge and just go for it. No plan B. And I've been hearing that no plan B thing, which I get it, but I don't, 100% agree with it. But basically what Joe was saying was just go ahead,
Yeah, but everybody's situation is different. So I mean, like, you could have that kind of mentality in your let's say in your younger years, or if you don't have necessarily a big responsibility, something as far as a mortgage or like child support, or just life
Right.
things in general that you need to make steady monthly payments on. You know what I mean? Unless you have a side job, or a side income or something, it's very difficult to just throw your hands up and be like, hey, you know what, I quit, and I'm gonna become whatever it is that you want to do with your life. It's
Right.
like, I think what a lot of people that say that, it's easy for them to say it because kind of like they made it, and that's kind of cliche, that's kind of fucked up to say that someone will say it after they made it. But I feel like you kind of forget a lot of what it took, to get there, you know what I'm saying? Or probably some people might have had it easier than others, that's, they took a shot at it and it worked, and God bless them, but a lot of people have to get up, they fail, they get up, they fail. Most entrepreneurs actually don't succeed until, like, I read something that was like until their fourth or whatever, third venture, or whatever the case might be. It takes that education, that trial and error, to really pull off a successful business.
Definitely.
Whatever it is you're trying to do.
Right. And sometimes it takes a lot of ventures, a lot of failed ventures, but
Yep.
the key is, and I guess that's kind of where a 9 to 5 comes in, If you have a 9 to 5, you never just quit and get up and leave without no safety net.
No.
Once again, if you young, you're at home,
Go for it.
go for it.
Yeah,
Make all the mistakes you can while you can.
Right.
But if, you have a family to support, even if you don't have a family to support per se, but you out on your own, you got bills to pay, you just can't necessarily do that. There's nothing wrong. See, people make excuses with time. Right. Everybody says, I don't have the time, I don't this, I don't that, but you have the weekends.
Right.
You have after work.
Right. Like anyone who tells me that they don't have the time for something, like that's the last person I ever want to see out somewhere, or like if you got time for whatever it is you're trying to do, like you shouldn't have time for nothing. Like you should be work and home, and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Work, home,
but you should
barely eat.
Yeah, barely eat.
sleep.
You're eating ramen noodles if you can, standing up because you're so busy. But
Right.
if you're that busy, it should also hopefully translate into some kind of money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, there's like we were saying before, like, before we started, we were just kind of going over some of the points. It's like some people just don't know how to use their jobs to their advantage.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some people are so stuck in that employee mentality. You know what I'm saying? They just want a good job with the benefits and the 401k, and I can't wait till one day I'm going to retire, you know what I'm saying, and get these $200 a month.
Right. And that brings to the next point, jobs and benefits, the pros and cons.
Right.
I
feel a job you should do, if you're going to have a job, make it do a job where your time is not necessarily just the hourly rate that you're getting. Right. You feel me? Like if you have a job where you have an opportunity to get paid hourly plus maybe some kind of commission, figure out a way to milk that commission. Like you're already there, so you're getting paid for that. But what's going to differentiate you from everyone else, or make your check a little bigger, is if you do this particular thing. If you sell this one thing or upsell or whatever the case is, you better get really good at that. Right. And use that to get money to do whatever other ventures you want. But just to sit at a job and bitch for 8 hours and then go home and bitch about how much you hate your job for another 8 hours. Right. Then it's like, what are we talking about? And then speaking of that, like I made a post about that like a couple of weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, that, if it's, what day was it? I think it was either on a Friday or a weekend. And, basically saying if it's Friday and, the end of the day Friday and you're like, thank God, it's Friday, it's the weekend, or it's Saturday, it's the weekend. Yeah, right. Yo, you're fucking living in hell. Like, how do you go on thinking that way? Like, if you're in that position, you need to be thinking about an exit strategy. You don't have time for the weekend. Right. You don't have time to go bullshitting. Because the weekend is spending money. Like, if you're not making money, you're spending money. At the end of the day, I hate to tell you, like, it is what it is. To be off on a Saturday, unless you're going to stay at your house all day long, locked inside, watching Netflix and just eating what you got in the fridge, right, which already costs you money, you're just going to spend money. Because nowadays, you can't go I went to the movies about a week ago. And shit, me and my girl spent $50 at the movie theater. Just between just getting to in, watch a movie, just getting in, some popcorn, nachos, and some drinks and stuff like that. It was almost $40-something bucks. And it's just like, man, what like that's a normal person. That's almost their whole days. If you're making $10 an hour or whatever, that's 5 hours. That's damn near the whole day. And that's the thing. It's like, but that's also something I want to say is like, people don't know how to trade off their time for whatever it is that their expenses, right? Like I was watching a thing the other day with Grant Cardone. Somebody was trying to sell him a Richard Mille watch, right? Right. And he was like, well, Richard Mille. Yeah, Richard Mille or Richard Mille, whatever. I'm broke, so I can't, I don't know. Nah, I thought that was the right way to say it. I'm like, I know you the watch guy. Yeah, I'm just repeating what I've seen. I don't know. And to be honest with you, great watch, but I don't know about all that. No, fuck all that. Yeah, but anyway, rich people shit. Yeah, I like these automatic, but whatever. But whatever, that's crazy. But anyway, he was like, he was leveraging how much he would have to make, right, in passive income to be able to afford that watch, right? And that's how you should kind of think when it comes to your time. It's like, okay, if you make, we were saying what, $20 an hour, joking around, but it's like that's pretty good, I think. Now, if someone's making $20 an hour, they should be all right.
It's relative,
but if you're making 11, 12,
right,
under 15, and you go and you spending, $80 at eating sushi or whatever, and then you go spend another however much at the club, because that's really the downfall. Is what I feel is our downfall is entertainment. Like, we're so caught up in trying to have fun and be in the moment and catch that perfect snap, that you feel like you're gonna miss out, that you're looking for that fun because work sucks or whatever, but you're not thinking of it like, well, if work sucks, instead of me going out and spending $300 this weekend, let me go and whatever, do something that you're going to turn that into something else, and then grow from there,
Or do some research, like going back to the whole I don't have time. Because I talk to a lot of people and all they say is, when am I going to do it? I don't have any time. But like you said, people make time for what they want to do. It's easier to do what you want than, to do what you don't want.
For sure.
Like, going back to what I was saying, it's like if you're saying on Friday that thank God it's Friday because you got a weekend, you shouldn't be doing shit on that weekend but researching.
Right.
Figuring out what could you do so, maybe a year from now, you don't have to,
be
dread
Mondays, right?
Me personally, dog, I love Mondays. I'm to the point now that I'm not a big fan of holidays and I'm not a big fan of weekends, because what that means to me is the business that I'm in, it slows down my business.
Yeah, because other people now want to stop.
Everybody stops. And I hate that. Yeah. I hate that. It's like while I'm working, it's like now I can't make that phone call. I can't send that email and get a response. I can't get deals closed because the title company is closed, because typically, other than the person that owns the title company, everybody there is
they can't wait for the weekend.
Yeah, they can't wait for the weekend. They're the 9-to-5ers that
wait.
They get paid by the hour.
Right.
And now that I need my deal closed, and my deals always happen to fall on some crazy 4-day weekend type crazy crap. In real estate, once you miss a day, it's like you missed 3 days. You could multiply that one missed day by multiple days, because something always happens. And going back to what I was saying, because I keep getting off the topic, is if you hate your job, you got to do something about it. Take your weekends, give up your weekends, maybe not even the full weekend. You could, when you get off of work, or let's say that Saturday morning, other than, whatever you usually do on Saturday mornings, I mean, typically the fun start later in the day.
Right.
Take the whole half of the day to work on something different. The problem is people don't work on anything.
Right.
They just basically like, God damn, I hate my job. And then, they go
But
drink.
God forbid you lose that job, though.
And that's it. Yo, let them lose that job. Oh, my God. Not even that. The killer is, before they have the job, they sit in those interviews. Yes, sir, I love this job. I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then soon as they get the job, who this person think they talking to? I hate this place. So, I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that.
All right, so real quick, not to sidetrack too far, but perfect example. Where I work at, there was one of the sales guys from another store got into it with one of the owners.
Right.
And mind you, this guy is one of the top sales guys for the company, makes 6 figures a year, company car, like making good money,
Right.
He's on the corporate side, so he's making good money. And he got into it with one of the owners because he's one of those guys that's like a good salesman, but like half of his sales come with bullshit. Like there's always going to be a disgruntled customer behind half of his sales. You know what I'm saying? Like people, You feel me? Like for him to get his sales, he who knows what he does. He's one, but whatever.
Right.
So long story short, he ends up getting into an argument with one of the owners, and he quit. Right. So my my boss is one of my friends. I've known him for forever too. So we're friends, but I still understand that he's my boss.
Right.
And I still understand it's a business, and I still have to produce, and for me to do what I want to do, I have to still come through.
Right.
So I told him, like, when he was telling me, man, this fucking guy, this whatever. I'm like, bro, watch till tomorrow. When he realizes in the morning that he has to give back the car, he has to give back, he ain't gonna make whatever it was.
Right. Reality's gonna
reality strikes, bro. It's like it's very difficult to just get up and go find another job where you're gonna pump the way you're doing. It's like you have to obviously have know your worth, have your value, but at the same time you have to understand where to differentiate the crazy talk, like, oh, fuck this job and this, that, whatever. Because the second you find yourself without that, it's gonna be crazy. Now the next day the guy was calling him back. Hey man, fuck the hell. I'm sorry,
like,
man.
Man,
I don't know what I was thinking. All this, all that. But guess what? Now because of his actions, if they take him back, he's gonna be at a lower performing store. You feel me?
Right.
So now he has to build up back, to get back to that money he was at. So you feel me? Like you're still in the door at some point to an extent, but now you got to build back up to get to the money you was already at.
Because you just got demoted for no reason.
For no reason, because you didn't see more. You didn't see more than what it is. You're just happy with the money. So it's good. It's good money, and that's enough.
Right.
For him.
And, that's the typical people. And I'm like, you go to McDonald's and, not everywhere, but you get the people or wherever you go, and they're giving bad service and they have the attitude like they don't feel like being there today.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
It is not my fault that you have to be here.
Yeah, I just want whatever you're selling.
I just want whatever you're selling, and
I didn't even know you worked here. My bad.
I don't even know you.
I don't even know you worked here.
If you don't want to be here, I had to go off on this lady a long time ago. Not even a lady, like some young chick. She was older than me at the time, but relatively, young. And just the attitude, I was like, I'm usually an easygoing person.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, it just takes that to click because I'm like, yo, I'm going to give you the same respect that you give me. Of course. And soon as it changes, then I'll change.
This is and most of those interactions are like 30 seconds and a minute interactions.
Yo.
So for someone to leave a bad taste the first 30 seconds you talk to them.
Yo, I forget how it went, but I had to tell her about herself. I was like, yo, it's not my fault in so many, not as nice as I'm saying it right now, that you're here having to do that, but you don't take that out on me because I'm going to flip.
Yeah.
Like the point is,
I understand what you're saying. At least the way I see it is, just because whatever your situation is, you know what I'm saying, or you decided to take this job, don't come and bring that negativity or bad attitude out on me.
Right.
Because you are happy with whatever it was you decided to do.
You can't have a bad, that's the way I look at it. You can't necessarily have a bad day when you're in customer service.
You can't.
You gotta, even if you're having a bad day, you gotta put on that mask.
I worked at a hotel for 6 months and I'm like, fuck this, bro. Like, I'm not that person to be on some like
hospitality.
Yeah, I'm not like, I like what I do because the customer is not right at my job. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like
nah,
you are not.
Yeah,
you are not necessarily right. You feel me? Like I don't. This isn't. I can argue with you, and I can.
Right.
I have the right to refuse service and kick you the fuck out of here.
Kick you out of this mud.
And then, what happens a lot of times because of the hospitality and the have your way and all this bullshit, people could think they can go into any business and kind of expect that. So,
but that's the standard though. Yeah. Corporate America, and why? The reason they do that and they set that standard, one, all they care about is the money. They don't care about you as the individual that works for them. Right. They like, we're going to put you out there to take all the shit. No matter what someone says to you, you got to take it. You know why you got to take it? because I need my cheddar. I need that money.
Just make them happy.
You need to make them happy by any means necessary. I need my money. And that's why I could never do the 9 to 5 thing.
But it's also people know that they have that power and they abuse the fuck out of it. You feel me? Because again, going back to the hotel thing, like I was seeing, like, okay, I understand, bro. You're on vacation. You haven't been, a year, whatever. You've been saving up. You want to come to Florida, be on the beach chilling.
Right.
But if you're a constant bitch or a constant asshole to the hotel staff and everyone, to get free shit, I mean, you're playing to the weakness of that establishment, because if you bitch about this, they're gonna comp you this.
They're gonna comp you that.
So that's kind of where a lot of businesses don't see it, because to them it's like, okay, yeah, let's get the money, let's make sure that that they book with us. But then the 4 days are there, or 3 days or 2 days that they're there, all the shit that they cause and all this is like, is that extra expense worth kissing ass to get that customer? You feel me? Like if you're leaving me $300 for those 3 days, but it's costing me $450
to keep you happy.
To keep you happy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
nah, I get it. I mean,
like, there should almost be a rating on customers that businesses.
I remember you were telling me something about
like to work on something like that. Because it's like, there has to be some way that the businesses say enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but you know the thing is, and that's the thing about the business world. Everything is relative, because it don't necessarily, the comps that they're giving you don't necessarily cost them crap anyway.
No, but it costs you long term. It costs you disgruntled employees, because now that customer's gonna come across that one guy that loves his job, but now fuck this job,
right?
Because if they're not gonna do nothing about this guy talking to me a certain way or making me do a shit, so then what happens is the morale starts to go down, and it happens with one customer, happens with another customer. By the time you get down to your 10th customer, that's when you get those people at the counter. Oh, fuck you want?
Right. But
you know what I'm saying?
but going back to that,
but it's not your fault.
Where,
it's not your fault though, as a consumer. That
However, it goes back to corporate that don't care. They have their turnover rates. So, however, the employee is at the bottom of the barrel. That goes back to do whatever you have to do to make that person happy, because they are paying us.
Right.
That's the thing. So they really don't care. If they got to fire you, there's 100 people waiting in line for your job anyway.
They'll do it for 25 cents less every time. Every person that they hire,
because
25 cents
less because they done gave you a 50-cent raise. You've been there like 5 years, so you costing them an extra 50 cents. Yeah. And now, they get somebody new to come in, and they like, oh shit, now we get to go back 50 cents.
$1 less.
$1 less to build you back, back up there. So
real talk.
They don't care at the end of the day. It's just because a lot of that shit is bullshit. You're being way overcharged anyway. Mm-hmm. So if you get comped, it's almost like.
But going back to what you were saying about the 9 to 5 thing, right? Like, yes, I feel it's a trap, because you can easily fall. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people that they want to go to a job, be there 20 years,
of course,
retire and die.
Yeah, you need those.
They're happy
people.
with that. You know what I'm saying? They're super happy with that. Then you have
not to cut you off. This is a disclaimer. The whole 9 to 5 thing is for the entrepreneurs, or people with the entrepreneur mindset, that are trapped in the 9 to 5.
Right.
Because there's people that.
They want that good job with the city, or with
they want to be comfortable.
Yeah, they're good. They're they're gonna be, by the time they retire, they've been there 25 years and get a pension and the whole nine. Which I respect 100%. But that's not the person, I guess, that we're talking about now. And the pros and cons, like, of a job, obviously the security of you're gonna get a check on Friday or Saturday or whatever.
False sense of security, and we'll get into that.
Definitely a false. You're right. Definitely a false sense of security. I think it's more like that hold of like, oh, you need a good job, or you need to have a, XYZ, like, to maintain or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the false. Now, like, what I've always done pretty much, damn, I'm sweating like a
I know.
pretty much
sweating like a 9 to 5.
9 to 5. People. It's a brand new shirt, man. That's what Hey, so
it is hot in the studio.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's Florida. But hey, love living in Florida.
All right.
Definitely a sacrifice. Hey, but damn, I was. No, but if you use it to your advantage as far as like, okay, I'm gonna take this time while I'm at work instead of bullshitting on Instagram or bullshitting on Facebook or bullshitting on whatever avenue of social media you bullshit on at work. If you were to start doing that, like you were saying, research, take that time to kind of like, you know what, I like this field, and then kind of see where in your job. A lot of people, man, you'd be surprised how many jobs, at least I don't know about you, but I think of everything as like, how can I better the business, you know what I'm saying? Or how can I fit a business into this business, Right. And it's like a lot of people, if you look at whatever the field that you're in, if you were to just take a step back and really analyze your field and find a hole of something that, damn, this is a need for it. Like my business right now needs this. You could fill that need. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to. So a lot of times entrepreneurs are thinking that to be an entrepreneur, you have to start a brand or you have to start a t-shirt company. Or you have to start. It could just be, you could be working in the medical field and, there's this one little plastic piece that'll make little things like that could be what could be your start, Right. So just look for little things within your field that you can branch off and grow into your own business, right?
Right.
Or take that time to learn something that you could then, when you're ready to make that jump, it's like, well, I've been doing this for the last year, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing where most people fall off. Like you say, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just pick up off of something that you already know. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the businesses, it could be something that you already love to do. If you work in a certain field, you could just, the thing is, you have people that move from the bottom all the way to management and they just keep going in management. Mm-hmm. Like, the ups and downs, ins and outs of the company, yet you still afraid, like, and that's where the trap comes in. It's almost like a mental thing to where they brainwash you to make you feel like you can't do anything else. This is what you can do. But when you think about this shit, you know how to run that company by yourself because you're really making all the calls.
Yeah.
You know the day-to-day operations. Yeah. And you could literally take all of this information and do it for yourself. But a lot of people ain't built for that. That's why I'm like, there's the entrepreneurs.
To be honest with you, we live in a day and age that you don't even have to do it for yourself. If you know how to do it, you can talk and you can somewhat get your point across. You can make a video of how to do it and sell it before you even do it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just about finding
the information.
Yeah, it's just about finding that thing that you can be like, okay, this is where I can make my
right. Now, switching gears to entrepreneurship, just like what you're saying, you don't have to physically do anything. We live in an information age. You get on the computer and you have access to the world. Your business is, on this phone, right here, on your phone or on your computer. If, like you say, you have some information, all you have to do is put it in a format.
You can make an ebook, a course,
whatever the case may be, and you can sell that, and that's a business in itself.
Without you doing a thing ever.
Exactly.
Without you physically ever.
You don't need physical products. You don't need to physically speak. You could get on and, like you say, make your videos. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're knowledgeable about the information, people are willing to pay for the information because that's what we do.
Not only knowledgeable, but I feel like also, I've always said it, like you have to give the medicine and the candy, right? So it has to be in a way where it's like obtainable, or it's a way where it's like it's doable, or you have to come up, you have to be the, if I could do it, you could do it kind of person. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because I know last time we recorded, we did we kind of talked about like people that need motivation and motivational speakers and all this motivation. Motivation is its own entity and animal at this point. And there's people that still need motivation. Like they still need to get motivated, which I understand. But at that same time, it's like, you also have to do, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not
you have to take action.
You have to take that action. I feel like a lot of people might feel that a 9 to 5 is the bump that's holding them from taking action. And I feel like, you feel me? That's where I think the mistake lies. Like people are like, oh man, this job or this whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, if you really break it down, a 9 to 5, right? So you were at work in 9 in the morning, you get off at 5 in the afternoon. Let's say you pick up the kids, go home, cook dinner, put the kids to bed, the whole 9 by 10 o'clock, right? You can still work from 10 to fucking, 1, let's say.
1.
At least 10 to 1 you could work and
Or
still
12.
or 12 or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
At least 2 hours.
Yeah.
At least.
At least 2 hours.
Because you're probably going to be up, if you're not that tired, you're probably going to be up watching TV
or on
anyway.
YouTube or eating shit on Instagram.
Fucking looking at everybody else live their life.
Man.
That fake life.
Yeah, so exactly. So instead of taking that time and being productive with it, like you said, research, it's a combination, man. It's a combination of things. It's just that mentality of like, you need a good job. You've always heard it. You got to have a job. You got to have this. You got to have this. You got to have that. And it's like they're expecting you, and they're lying to you, telling you the only way you're going to end up retiring with 200, 300, 400 grand is if you work for 60 years 40 years of your life.
Right.
And no one's telling you, hey, work, do what you got to do. While you're doing it, research a hustle or a niche or a career.
Right.
Figure out how you can get into that while you're still working. Use that money to leverage it into investing into yourself or whatever the case might be.
Right.
And you can make $200,000-300,000 a year.
A year, and that's the crazy. It's good that you bring that up, because that goes back to the job benefits. You get the people that, for somebody that don't have any money, didn't come from money, never really made that much money. When you give them that benefits package, and you break it down to them, and you say, man, by the time you retire, you tell that to a young person, man, in 40 years when you retire, not even because the retirement age, it's like every other year they bump it up.
You gotta be 87.
Like, damn, these people ain't dying soon enough.
Yeah,
all right,
real.
let's bump it up to see,
For real.
because people are living longer. So they give you that benefits package, man, you're going to retire with 500,000, 600,000, $1 million,
$1 million.
800,000. And you think like, God damn, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of
I'm
money.
going to come today and I'm going to work hard and I'm going to do this and that, whatever. And the crazy part is you have people that make that annually.
They got people that make that weekly, monthly.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I'm not saying it's everyone's doing that, so easy to do. But like I said, there had to be a niche someone found. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing. I talk to people all day, every day that the what you would least expect. The guy you least expect is a multimillionaire. You know what I'm saying? And what do you do? I sell bolts and screws and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like little shit like that. That's like shit that you wouldn't even think of. Like, damn, that's an industry. Or that's a whole. Right. But it can get to it. It can, when you're talking about these guys who are making, I got a $50 million a year company. I got a $20 million a year company. Right. Even if you make $1 million a year company, bro, like, it's a doable thing in today's day and age with the technology. Then you don't need to have any inventory or nothing. You don't need to have nothing. You just have to have the idea, the concept, and the execution.
Right.
And
I mean, that goes back to that trap. Like, because I've heard, like, I know someone personally, and they brag about, when they retire, they're going to get this and they're going to get that. Granted, there's some people that retire early,
right?
Just depends, on your, on what field.
But let's be honest too, those usually people that retire early are very frugal.
Well, when I say
unless they're making bank off rip and they can just
when I say retire early, not the typical, I just want to retire because I got money. Basically in the field, like like law enforcement, certain things like that.
Right.
They don't necessarily.
But usually something happens that causes them to retire early too. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in that kind of field.
Yeah. So it could be whatever the case may be, but like. And then I heard someone recently brag about it, and they was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get, like X amount of 100,000s, and like on some which is cool. Like I'm not knocking it at all. However, when you think about it, like the people that I'm around now that are making that, like annually, that shit right there is like when you tell me that it takes it takes 30, 40 years to establish that amount, then I'm looking at the people that I know that's doing that like every year type shit. And that's kind of like, who do you want to be? Hold on.
No, but I feel you. Like they go 30, 40 years, and it's like, But in that same note, like going back to what we were saying, if you were to take, let's say, 5 years of your time and really dedicate it to your craft and your thing or whatever, you could get to that. You're making that kind of, getting to that kind of money,
Right,
within 5 years.
within 5 years. And that's the thing. You don't have to wait 40. You don't have to wait for it. Could you imagine if, and once again, this is not for everybody.
Definitely not.
This
for
is not for because you need those people. You got people that just want to be comfortable. They want to, nice house, or decent house,
right.
nice car, decent car,
Decent car.
be able to pay a college tuition and
But
take a vacation or two a
basically,
year.
they want to feel comfortable having debt their whole life.
They want to be comfortable having debt their whole life, and that word "comfortable" is so freaking crazy. That goes back to that false sense of security,
Right.
Like
They feel like, I need this house with this mortgage, and I need this car with this payment, and I need my kids' college, and it's like, and all that, all of that could be hit in monthly payments, as long as you're comfortable. Always have that monthly payment.
Right. But the reason they're comfortable with that because they have the false sense of security. They're like, well, I don't need to make more than $100,000 a year because that's more than enough for me.
Right.
Why you think it's more than enough for you? Because you can pay your bills. You're able.
Working out of here.
I know, right? It's cool, man.
Yeah,
We getting it from the mud right now. So back to what I was saying, they feel it's a false sense of security because they're making $100,000 a year, but their expenses are at $100,000 a year, but they feel comfortable because they get the awards and they feel secure at their job and they can pay the bill.
They're keeping up with the Joneses.
They can keep up with those payments up until you get that. Like with my wife, they just laid off like out of the blue, literally out of the blue, 64 people.
Damn.
Out of the company. Why? Is it because the company is not making money? The numbers probably dropped.
Right.
And to compensate the shareholders, they got to get rid of the small people.
That's true.
The shareholders at top, they need to make sure they don't take pay cuts.
No cuts.
They don't take no cuts
at
all.
Hear that.
So
bad year. No, they don't hear that shit.
They a bad year is a bad year. Damn, we had to cut.
Well,
100 people.
remember though. All right, we're talking real corporate business. They're not looking at the year. They're looking at it quarterly.
Right.
So it's like, hey man, last 3 months was bad. We have to let go of some people.
We had to
make these next 3 months.
We had to make it up in the next quarter.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part about it now, because then she was telling me about this crazy part where there's this lady that she's on vacation out of the country. Her and her husband worked at the job, so they're both out. He didn't lose his job, but she lost hers.
That's half the income.
And they have no idea. They out of the country enjoying their life, thinking, okay, we're spending this money. We work for it.
Go ahead and charge it,
Yeah,
baby.
go ahead and charge it. I'll take care
Duty
of it
free.
later.
They got him at the duty free.
Right. So the crazy part is when she come back to find out that she lost her job.
That's crazy, bro.
Why? Did she do anything wrong? No. She's been there for a long time, and you had a job for 20 years, and one day they wake up.
That's
right.
false security. You feel like, you get to a point where you're untouchable, or you're like,
right.
I've been here so long.
They'll never touch me.
Right.
Right.
But then that also again, back to false insecurity, because again, instead of taking those couple hours and figuring something out and putting your energy towards something else,
Doing
and
something
else,
different.
that when they say, hey, you know what, man, peace out, you're like, you know what, this is needed,
Right.
to go ahead and take that jump or take that leap or take that whatever, because you've been preparing.
You've been preparing.
It's different. It's different because I mean, I haven't been laid off like that from jobs, thank God, because I haven't had like 1,000 jobs.
Me
you know?
either.
But whenever I remember I've been laid off, it's actually was perfect timing because I was
Right.
ready. I've been fucking with something else that I was ready to jump into.
Right.
So then it's different. You know what I'm saying? I've been at jobs because the money that I was making on the side at jobs was better than the actual money that,
Right.
I was getting from the work from the company. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like it takes kind of like that knowing when to. So if she comes home, let's say that lady comes home, or let's say that lady's been wanting to do real estate, or she's been wanting to do whatever, and she's kind of been thinking about it and working at it a little bit, and she comes home to, hey, you know what? There's no more job. At least you have that.
You have the backup.
The backup compared
And
to like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
What am I going to do now? Because you never prepared. And funny you bring up real estate. You've been working that long. Real estate investment is one of the best things that people can do in their life. Because could you imagine, you want to use the real estate to, one, replace your income, and two, pay for the things
Right.
that you want, like the cars, your mortgage, vacations and stuff. You could use those type of investments to pay for these things as opposed to your earned income.
Out of pocket, right.
Out of pocket. You go to work and you do all of this. So let's say for her, over the 20 years that she was working, she bought, let's say she makes $2,000 a month.
Right.
And she, over the years, she bought and maintained like 4 duplexes or rental properties that are bringing a cash flow of $2,000 extra per month,
Right.
on top of her income. That's not life changing, but that's still $2,000 that you're bringing in every month, that you have a tenant that's paying off your mortgage on those rental properties.
And that whole time, those properties are going up.
And the properties are going up in value over all of that time. And you're getting a $2,000 to do whatever you want with it. Could be a car payment, paying down your own mortgage,
or reinvesting
it, or whatever you want to do with it.
Right.
But yet people don't think that way. They just figure, we'll just sit around and just spend money.
Yeah.
Being a consumer, that is the worst. Like being a consumer is like the worst thing, almost the worst thing you can be. Because going back to the whole investment strategy, if you have something that's making that extra money, consume. But if you're using your earned income to consume, you're killing yourself. You're basically eating yourself from the inside out. And eventually you're going to be shit out of luck. And once again, this is all relative to how much money you're making. But there's a lot of people that live damn near right at the poverty line, and the crazy part of it, they don't know about it.
No,
they don't know.
It's not that they don't know. It's that they refuse to admit it or acknowledge it or even look into where am I at, or
I would even say accept it. Accept that they at it, because they could get the bare minimum. They could get what they need. Of course, they want more. They look at a Benz and be like,
wow,
well, I can't afford the Benz, not because I'm poor or I'm broke. It's just too much money.
Yeah.
I believe that's bullshit.
Right.
I don't think, like, when somebody say, well, that's too expensive or it's too much money, I say don't look at it that way. Just look at it as, I need to make more money. Because when you say, well, it's too expensive, you say, well, I can't afford it.
It's automatically unattainable.
Right. It's unattainable.
To your mind, it's unattainable.
And it'll stay that way.
For sure.
So instead of looking at it as too much, it's too expensive, think,
Damn,
I need to figure out how to make more money.
Exactly.
I have to make more money because I could get it.
Exactly.
Dude, I'm looking at the people that got money and I'm like, yo, you got money?
Yeah, but I look at people like that too. But a lot of those people, you know what it is? Preparation. Preparation and what is it? What is the definition of luck? Is when opportunity meets preparation.
Right.
So you have to be in a position to take advantage of the opportunity.
Right.
You like basically going back to what we were saying. Like if you're at your job and you fucking hate this job, then find out something within this job that can make you money, or while you're talking all this hate stuff, figure out whatever else you could do to get either another job, because then you're just, because that's another thing too. People are going from job to job expecting these other jobs to be the savior of a job. Like, no, it's still a job. You feel me?
Right.
It's still 1,000% a job. It's like, unless you figure something else out, like, you're just gonna be hopping from job to job for, I'm making X, teens an hour, whatever, this that an hour. It's like,
and even with that too, like, because I heard this lady, and all of my stuff is always turns to real estate, because that's what I focus on.
And let me tell you, I'm actually, like, for everyone listening, like, real talk, real estate is one of those things that you shouldn't be afraid of. And the reason I say this is I was a person that I was afraid of real estate. I was like, I ain't trying to hold a bag on no 150, 200,000.
Right.
I'll figure it out. I'd rather, have my little money, and it's my money. Like, I can get it. I didn't think of it like, you could pull the money out. And then, because that's not how things were explained.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You didn't know.
Right. I didn't know. But if it,
know better, you do better.
Right. Exactly. But if it would have been like going back to, again, the money we used to spend on going out to the clubs and to dinner and all this and all that, I should have been buying a little, properties
especially
here and
dude.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember like 2000, I want to say, like 99, 2000, 2001, you could still get a house for $55,000, 60,000.
Dude, those same houses right now are a couple $100,000. Easy.
Like in North Miami, like you can buy a house in North Miami, 3-bedroom, 2-bath garage, quarter acre.
Haiti.
Yeah, for $40,000. And now that's $300,000 house.
Dude, easy. And North Miami is coming up.
And you could have had it rented the whole time. This whole time it could have been rented.
The whole time it could have been rented. One, you talk about North Miami. North Miami was like the upgrade to Little Haiti.
Right.
Little Haiti was like the ghetto.
It was it was Little Haiti, then El Portal, whatever.
Well,
and then North Miami.
No. See, El Portal always was that chic. They were always expensive in there.
Yeah, that little block.
That little niche.
As soon as you pass El Portal, you're right on 79th. So it's
it was that little niche. Yeah. And then you have the Miami Shores. There's Miami Shores.
Yeah.
Miami Shores is right here.
Yep.
You have this side of Miami Shores and this side of Miami Shores. The houses are $100,000 here. You cross Miami Avenue, and then it's $3-4 million houses this way. Literally within 5-minute walk. Not even 5 minutes.
That's true.
You cross the street.
But what I'm saying is the opportunities are there. If you're really looking at it, like, the opportunities are there. People always have to have a place to live. I mean, people. It is what it is.
It's like real estate. It's always going to be like that.
And then going back to that mentality, because I feel like I had it for a long time. I just had that, like, I just got to hustle. I just had to hustle to get my, to get my money and whatever I need to get this month. Like, however it is. But I wasn't thinking of it like long term and bills and you're getting your credit right and all this stuff, because I never used credit before for nothing. It was like everything was you try to buy cash,
right? Because that's how we grew up.
Yeah, that's how you grew up.
What our parents ain't no better. It's
but going back to where the whole point of this is, like, you can make up time so fast when you really focus on it, right? Because for the this year, like I said, I'm telling you, since we've been talking, getting into the real estate thing, I want to be prepared for that.
Right.
So, little things that I'm doing, and then 7 months of just not going out and not, doing stupid shit. Like, I've been able to pay down a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? And get to damn near even.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Had I been still eating the same shit, I would have been, just as bad or worse, because you just continue to use the credit cards. You continue to, you just dig holes for yourself, But it's like literally 6-7 months of hard work and make up for years of
literally. It can get fixed just that quick, and that goes back to things like credit. People walk around here with bad credit all their life,
but they got Gucci belts.
But they got Gucci belts and all type of crazy shit. But credit you can fix within a couple of months. You don't need forever to fix credit, and you walk around here with bad credit for the rest, for all your damn life.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like we're kind of we're getting into we're gonna get into that stage where it's like, now people are gonna show off credit. You feel me? Like, people were bragging about diamonds and cars and all this. Like, now it's kind of like it's cool to have credit.
It is in that, because
you know what I'm saying?
What I noticed, especially with social media is a gift and a curse.
Yeah, for sure.
It just depends on how you use it. But now, like, why being on social media, I follow mostly entrepreneurs and people that look like me that are doing big things.
Big things.
And dude, my whole life revolves literally around real estate, credit, and entrepreneurship.
Right.
And anything that has to do sales, money,
Right.
This is the $1 billion garage. We trying to we trying to take it.
Sales is what I love. I've been doing sales for 15 years. It's like I feel like there's no kind of trick or whatever that you don't. Because going back to sales, all right. I feel like if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be in a sales job. If you're wasting your time at a fast food place or a restaurant or something that's not giving you experience, as far as you're learning some kind of trait. I don't care what it is. If you can sell, you can sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
At least you have that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a gift in itself. And a lot of people see like, I hate sales. I hate sales.
But everything
jobs.
is sales though.
Job.
No matter what you're doing, it's all sales.
It's always sales. It's all sales. And if you can sell, you can make a comfortable living off just that without having to have a crazy education. Not a crazy education, but without having to do the
right.
I've gotten jobs that are you need college degrees, but because of my sales background, I've been able to get these positions.
Right.
And it's just that's a gift in itself. So take that. That's what I'm saying. Like, find something that you can put towards something else. You know what I'm saying? If you can sell this, you can sell if you can sell cell phones, you can sell cars. If you can sell cars, you can sell it's this technique is knowing how to work with people, how to find that need and filling it.
The most wealthiest people are all they are good salesmen, no matter what it is. It's not even about being a doctor, a lawyer, how smart you are, this and that.
A lot of times,
matter.
The sale is just yourself. You have to know how to sell yourself.
Yeah, you have all of it. All of it revolves back to sales. No matter how you cut it, no matter what industry you in, no matter what
people buy from people they like.
Because you're right. And no matter what you're in, you're selling something. Mm-hmm. You're selling something. If it's education, products, everything. Everything is sales. Yep. So, you can't escape it. And I think, I believe children are the best salespeople, but they lose it over time. Most of them lose it. The great salesmen, that are still around, they don't lose it, but most people lose it.
You know why they lose it? I feel like people lose it because we all go through the slump. That's the thing about sales. Like, you'll have 3-4 months where you're on fire, you're pumping,
right?
You're making crazy money, but then what happens is that false security. You fall back on like, I made 10 grand this month. Damn, last month I made 10 grand, and the month before that I made 10 grand. Now you're averaging your whole life, the rest of your life, you're averaging off the fact that you're making 10 grand a month until you don't. And now what happens is you have that lifestyle. Now if you're making 10 G's a month and all of a sudden you instantly, right? Because this is the mistake I feel a lot of people make. Like, let's say you get a new job, right? You get a new job where your income has gone up 20%, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. And whatever it is, it's gone up 20%. Instead of working at a place for a year, right? Saving some money, seeing how it goes. Do I get along with everyone? Like, all these factors. No, it's like, shit, I just got a new job. I'm getting 20% a year more. I need to upgrade my car. I need to upgrade the crib. And then what happens is you're stuck. You just bumped your pay. Your pay just went up, but now you just volunteered your bills to go up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now those bills are going to stay there whether you're making that money or not.
Exactly. People are living beyond their means. Right. And that's the thing.
And then if you've been doing 10 G's, 10 G's, 10 G's, and now all of a sudden you do 2 grand or 3 grand, or saying now
even
it's like
5.
Even 5 is like
that's a major
I
hit.
hate my job. There's people making 5 grand a month right now saying they hate their job.
I hate it. I want to die.
This job sucks.
But yeah, man, that's going back to it. It's like there's nothing wrong with working a job.
Nothing at all.
For most people, but if you're like me, you can't do it. Ever since a kid, it's just something about someone telling me when I could go to lunch, when I have to come in. Yeah. God forbid you tell me I can't do something. Yeah. I'm cool. Yeah. Just like the people that I talked about earlier, like with the attitude, like you make them. Wherever I go, you don't get that from me. it's in my head like, yo, I'm out this motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
for sure.
I'm just here for a limited. But I'll
sure.
never let it project because I always go back. You know, I'm fair.
I'm the same way.
When I sat in that interview, and because I could talk my ass off, when I sat in that interview and I sold myself or sold the damn manager on me.
Yeah, right.
You know, all of that was true because I really wanted the job.
Right.
Yeah, I get there and I hate it. I don't really want the job. I just want the money.
You need a job.
I need a job. I want the money.
I don't want it. So therefore, you need a job.
Therefore, you need a job.
Yeah.
So I could go ahead and sell myself, but I'm not going to, you know, tear down the whole company because I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into.
Right.
You know, so I say that to basically say this. I always had that backup plan that I was working on something. When I came home, I was trying to figure out something.
Right.
And the last time I had a job was 2008. And I was doing real estate. So, you know, I didn't really jump out, but doing real estate, you know, is kind of the same thing because there's no guaranteed income.
Right.
But I jumped out and I never turned back.
Right.
You know, however, I had something else to put in there has
to be a filler.
It has to be a transition, right?
Yeah.
You have to transition into something. You can't just, you know, quit and then look at it like, all right, what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
You screwed.
Yep.
You know, so
I feel like just on a regular guy level, right? Like a regular person, not let's say you want to be an entrepreneur, things like that. I feel like now it's kind of gotten a little easier though, because there are things I feel like people can fall back on, but again, it's not long term. You know, like
right.
I know guys driving Uber making $1,000 a week. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they lost their job, and the circumstances made them turn to Uber. So you have that. Like there's no basically long story short, there's no excuse anymore. You feel me?
There is no excuse.
There really is no excuse with things like with things like I was asking you earlier about like eBay and all that stuff. Like I was watching videos like there's Poshmark, I think. There's a thing called Poshmark, Depop. There's a couple of things that you could overstock. You can sell shit online. You can buy something today, sell it tomorrow, literally.
Just like you were talking about Alibaba,
AliExpress, drop shipping. I love print on demand. I love all of those businesses because it's the hard part is creating the vision and creating the brand, but the actual product, which is what killed businesses. Traditional businesses were killed with brick and mortar stores, having to have that brick and mortar and then having to have a shitload of inventory to sell. Now you don't need none of that shit. You just need Wi-Fi connection and a good website and kind of have an understanding of how to navigate all the damn drawing a blank, all the fucking analytics, all the analytics of how to reach your customer and stuff like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bit easier. It's for you to. That's something you could do while you're at work. You could literally have a business on. You could have a Shopify account. And you can make and you can sell T-shirts that say world's greatest nurse or whatever.
Right.
And that's your niche, whatever. But you're making extra money, and it's like that's what I'm saying. There's no excuse to just go and I hate my job and I hate this.
Not do nothing about it. You can hate it, just do something about it.
Hate it for 5 years, and in 5 years, hey man, fuck this job. But I had a plan.
You had a plan, but you hating it just to hate it ain't gonna do shit for you.
Nothing.
You're just gonna be hating it for the rest of your life until they fire you. Then you're gonna run home crying that you lost your job and shit, and you can't do shit because you ain't never. Because you never thought of like, what if I lose my job? Because you know what it is, people. Oh, I'll just get another job. Yeah, that's fine when you're 20 years old, but if let's say you get a job when you're 25, right, and you're at this job now, like let's say for 20 years, so now you're 45 years old, right? You're telling me you lose your job at 45, you're gonna have the same strength and energy and drive and determination, and not the same responsibilities and all that shit that you had when you were 20, and not even that, because now you're at 45 and you're going to compete with the 20-year-old or the 25-year-old for the same job. Who's more likely to get it?
And he's willing to do it for less because he doesn't have the responsibilities you have.
Exactly. And he's willing to do it for less. He or she are willing to do it for less, So you just got to get, I guess the moral of the story is today is don't get comfortable.
No.
Don't
get comfortable to the point that you're not always thinking the plan B.
You have to have a plan B, and not to go on and on, but like I mentioned before, the whole concept of you have some people saying, "Oh, don't have a plan B," because I guess you have to milk plan A,
right?
Because
but then that just comes down to drive, determination, and what kind of person you are. Because if you're in plan A, you should be giving plan A your 100% regardless. Plan B just needs to be there because, shit happens. Remember,
shit happens.
If it's out of your control, if let's say you're starting a business with a partner or you're starting some kind of whatever the case is that takes other people to make it happen, that it's not all 100% your control, you have to have a plan B.
You have to have a plan
B because what if that one kink, one link or whatever in the chain doesn't come through? Now the whole fucking,
Right.
So you have to have something to fall back on, like you, and not only that, but another tip. If you're an entrepreneur and you're doing business with someone and you're this is my guy, that guy's gonna end up leaving you high and dry one day, and you're gonna get fucked and you're gonna lose business for it. Like that goes back to having a plan B. If you're in the real estate and you have a contractor and your contractor's your guy, he's been my guy. At the end of the day, as much as he's your guy, you got to have another contractor that you can call, because the day that this guy doesn't come through is going to be and usually when people don't come through is when you need them to come through the most.
You need them the most, right?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to have that plan B. You have to have that something else that you're working towards. And remember, plan B should always be just that. So let's say you're at the job you hate, right? And your plan B is, well, I'm studying to become this, and boom. Now, however much time goes by, and you become this. Now that you're this that you've been wanting to be, you should still have now a new plan B.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
and
you should
a plan B doesn't necessarily have to be the total opposite of something
it's just
else.
An opportunity.
A plan B can be that plan B can be plan B to the plan A.
Correct.
Within the same thing. Correct. But because I've seen it happen to where, like, if you want to be a rapper, right? And they say, well, you can't have a plan A, and you rap your ass off and you try your hardest. We know that's an industry. We don't care how good you are, how talented you are. If you're not the wave or whatever it is, most don't succeed, right? So if you don't have a plan B, then you screwed no matter how hard you try, how many hours you put in, how hard you go. However, that plan B could be within the plan A. All right, I won't make it as a rapper.
But
Let me be a writer.
Or a producer.
Or something. So your plan B doesn't have to be outside
for sure.
the scope of what you want to do. But sometimes you got to be okay, this is not working.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Do this.
That's what I'm trying to say. Fine, let's use that analogy, right? The rapper, right? So you want to be a rapper, and you're not seeing the results. You're not seeing the results, right? So instead of it and it could be just you. It could be something about you as you. Right. Remember, a lot of things have to hit into play for you to become. Right. To get put on or whatever to become a rapper or a star or whatever.
It's not that you're not talented.
You're not. Let's say your talent could be helping others. Right. So now what happens? You go from the rapper, it didn't work out. Now you become you know who's a perfect example of that? Hitmaker, Young Bird.
I was just about to say
perfect fucking example. People talk as much shit.
Interview.
Talk as much shit as you want, but that's what I'm trying to say. The progression. You go from rapper to producer. Then from producer, your plan B now is not go back to a rapper. Your plan B is I want to be an exec.
Exactly.
You feel me?
That's what he's working on.
And that's what he's been an exec. He's been an exec for a couple of years now. So it's like you have to constantly look for that progression. If you're just happy being a producer and a rapper, guess what? The next new hot producer or rapper is right now, knocking on your door.
Right.
So you got to be
replace
right.
So you got to be able to elevate. Exactly. You got to move to the next step.
So if you don't see it that way, like you're stuck. So even if you make it to assistant manager, your goal is to be manager, and after you're a manager, your goal is to be a supervisor, and so you have to always, and it's the same drive and all of that you put into getting these little come ups at your job is the same drive and everything you can put on to kind of branching off and doing
everything else, and that goes back to you can't get comfortable. There is no security. I don't care whether it's a 9 to 5 entrepreneurship,
You can't.
entertainer, whatever, basketball. Look at Magic Johnson is like yo, that's crazy.
Yo, that's a genius though.
This
He's a
dude
genius though.
went from bouncing a ball, and see, that's the thing. They look at, certain people, well, you just go ahead and bounce this ball.
Yeah, you're
you
done.
got a genius bouncing a ball.
A genius.
Now, if he listened to what everybody else around him would say to him, he'd never be worth the hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion by now. I think he's like,
yeah, I think he's up there.
hitting the billion, or maybe not him personally, but he definitely runs billions of dollars,
sure.
a $1 billion company.
For sure.
And if he would have just kept he's great at bouncing the ball. That's all he knows. That's a genius bouncing the ball.
Yep.
He's going, like I'm listening to his stories the other day. He's going in to these billionaires, and he's giving them advice on running their companies. And he's just the basketball player guy.
Yeah, no, but but you know what it is? At some point, you have to know whether you're taking good advice or you're taking bad advice too.
Right.
And I feel like that's always been something that coming from the hood is like you're always gonna hear people, man, like, they're gonna put their shit on you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Nah, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's like, if you were to tell Magic Johnson, when he was, a jit or whatever playing basketball, he was gonna own fucking movie theaters and banks and shit. Because isn't he has like a partnership with I think it's Regions or some shit, or he's one.
Dude,
I know it's like, it's like so much shit. He got the Dodgers, the Lakers.
Unbelievable.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like all this stuff. Like, people be like, nah, there's no way you're gonna do that. Instead, like, you know what, man, you're right. You're gonna. I was watching the interview yesterday with Adam 22 with No Jumper, and he was interviewing Mr. Cartoon, the tattoo artist, right? And and it's like the stuff that he was saying. It was like, no one ever told him, no, don't do that. And that was what kind of gave him the creativity to go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like, oh no, you can't do that. It was like, yeah, man, you know what? Go ahead and you want to
go ahead and take a shot.
And you know who else was like that too? Rakim. I was listening to Rakim's interview, and he said it too. He's like, yo, mom, he was gonna get a football scholarship or something. And he told his parents he wanted to rap, and his parents were like, you know what, man?
Right.
You going on tour with LL Cool J? Let's see where this is gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So there also has to be that. You know what I'm saying? Where you're taking your advice. Now, if you're taking it from your boys and you guys were all fucking high and talking shit, and then they don't see themselves going nowhere, it's gonna be hard to explain that. Or if you're not even to stereotype it, oh, you're high and all this shit. But let's say you really just work a cubicle job, like you explain to the dude across from your cubicle that you want to be the fucking CEO of this company.
He's gonna laugh at you.
He's gonna look at you
because
like,
he has a cubicle mentality.
He crazy, man.
He don't see it for himself. That's the thing. A lot of these people don't see it for themselves.
Yeah.
So then they project that on you.
Yep.
So those are the dream killers, man. And I guess we'll talk about the dream killers on the next episode of Garage Billionaire.
For sure.
I appreciate you for coming out.
Thanks again for having me, bro.
I
love it, man. It's good. I feel like it's. I feel like the more we'll do it, the more kind of we'll get into a rhythm and kind of. But it's just information I feel people need to hear. At the end of the day, it's real simple. Everyone needs to be motivated. I want to motivate everyone to go out and follow your dreams, do what you got to do. But it's gonna get to a point where someone else can only motivate you so much. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully this will kind of be a little bit of an eye opener. You know what I'm saying? Like, by all means, if you have a great job, keep your job. If you love your job, continue to do your job well. But just kind of have that in the back of your mind that you can have more.
Right. Or do something. You can love your job. Just do something.
Yeah. Or if you hate your job, do something.
Right.
That's really.
But no, if you hate your job, definitely do something.
Yeah.
But if you love your job, still do something. Yeah. It's cool.
And you'll be surprised how many people, I'm sure, if you love your job, that means you probably have a good relationship with the people at your job.
Right.
That if you were to find that niche or that something that your job needs, and you wanted to branch off, your job would be open to it because of that relationship. So it's also, remember, I've always said it forever. I've always said, let your network determine. I mean, let your net worth determine your network.
Right.
I mean, let your network determine your net worth. So it's like you have, and if your job might just be it, you know. And if you hate it, if you work at fucking Popeyes and you hate all that shit with the chicken sandwiches and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Killed those motherfuckers.
Bro, I've been seeing so many memes, shit. People get quit.
They profits went up, but their employees went down.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They exploded the fuck out of their employees. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they were like, let me squeeze every last drop out of this, $10 I can. You know, so it's like, by all means, follow your dreams, do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, try to always think of whatever it is that you're trying to set to retire with next in 40 years. You can get that next year.
You can get that next year. You can get that in 5 years.
You can get that realistically in 5 years.
By
10 years.
10 years. Even if it's 20 years.
Even if it's 10 years.
Because you got 40 years to go. That $1 million that you're going to have in that benefit package, you could have $5 million. You could have 10.
And isn't that taxable?
I don't know.
Because then it's not $1 million or whatever.
Right. And
that's the case.
A lot of that shit is taxable. I don't know because I hear these horror stories like,
I heard horror stories too.
401ks and shit.
Crazy 401ks.
Hey, I need
I'm
to borrow
so happy.
$5. All right,
so
cool.
happy.
We're gonna give you $250.
I'm so happy. I've never had a 401k. I think I had a job that had a 401k, and it's like, but I've always thought of like, okay, I got to retire, so I'm like, all right, I know I have to come up with some, you start putting a little money away, things like that. So it's like, it's just. But to give it to whoever just because, and it's like they're gonna give me back,
right? And they're investing your shit. The shit that you're supposed to be doing with your money, that's what they're doing with it.
Yeah, for sure.
But to each his own. If you want 401ks, get 401ks. Me, I don't need anybody to hold and invest my money.
For sure.
And I'm not in the 401k realm.
But I guarantee you, if you dig down for a good 5 years. Even that's a lot. I don't want to scare people like, 5 years, because we live in such an instant age, you know what I'm saying? If you were to realistically, because I've done it, I'm doing it, if you were to buckle down 6-7 months,
you'll see
results. You're going to definitely see results.
You're going to see results.
If you can overcome the fear of knowing, because that's another thing too, is like why people don't go get checkups and shit, Right. So it's the same thing with your finances. People don't want to know. Like
they don't want to know. They're
happy not know. As long as I don't get that call or I don't get the letter, I'm happy.
I'm good. I'm doing something right.
Right.
Yeah.
And they think that that's doing something, but instead of being proactive on it, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, you could have $50,000 in bills, and if you just make a phone call and swallow that, you know what I'm saying? To make that phone call, tell them, put yourself, hey man, I'm doing bad. I don't got no one. There's nothing I can do. You can. That $50,000, $100,000 bill could be $50 a month.
Right.
And it's reporting positively.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you have to have, the first step is knowing, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, like how, when it comes to your health, you want to know your status. The same thing when it comes to your finance,
You want to be aware, because that's the only way you're going to change it. But like I said, we appreciate y'all listening to us. It's the Garage Billionaire. We're going to give it to you real life, no fluff.
If you have any questions, or if there's anything that we talked about, you guys want to hear more about it, I guess, the avenues will be out for you to be able to contact and
definitely,
but for sure.
Ralph Rush, his Instagram.
Yeah, at Ralph Rush. Sorry for the sweat, but it just goes to show, man, it's really, really getting, it's a workout right here.
This is really the Garage Billionaire. That's why the setting is in the garage, because the new, like it's not about making millions anymore. It's about making billions. Yeah. Like being a millionaire is like the new middle class type shit, because there is no middle class. So that has literally
depending where you live. Depending where you live, that's true. That's true.
I mean, and you live in California and you make $1 million a year.
Or you live in New York. Or you live in New York.
Or New York. One of these places.
I know that we're trying to cut it off, but real quick, I was in New York one time and I saw a documentary. I was watching a documentary. Some lady sold her company. Her baby. She's worked her ass off, got her company, sold it for $24 million. Right. And she became really good friends with with the wife of the guy that bought the company. Cool friend. They became friends, hanging up and down. All that. The lady just sold her company for $24 million, and she couldn't afford to live in her building. Wow. In the building of you know what I'm saying? So even with $24 million, it's not even half of what you would need to buy an apartment in this particular building. So it just goes to show, like, yeah, we're friends, But look at the difference, and
Yeah.
and they're obviously you're $24 million. You're rich. You can't afford to live in Manhattan,
Right.
you know, in this lady's building.
It's all relative.
And
you
not
know?
saying that was what she wanted to do, but I'm just saying that just goes to show what money is. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's relative. Like
Yeah.
you could be worth, you could afford whatever you're worth. You could afford to buy a $24 million apartment. Me, I could be a millionaire. I could be worth, if I'm worth 50 million, I can't afford realistically
$24 million
to buy, you know, a $24 million apartment. But I still got $50 million and I could live goddamn good.
Right.
And I could build, I could leave for mines to where, you know, it could go on and on and on.
Right.
Of course, building, but it's all relative. You got people that buy boats for like $100 million. And that's a boat, just the bullshit that they probably only use like once a year.
2 weeks a year.
If that.
You're better off leasing it like Puff.
Yeah, but you know,
why I
that's
like
what
Puff,
they
man.
do.
Like, you know, he goes out, spends $400,000 or $500,000 on a vacation. That's it. You don't got to worry about the overhead and the fucking crew and gas and all that shit. For
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
But-
So again, thank you guys. Sorry to run it long, but
Nah, it is what it is. But like I was saying, you know, it's just basically to keep it 100% real.
Facts.
You know, this isn't the rah motivation. This is stuff that people can relate to. And
It's common sense, man. At the end of
It's
the day,
common sense. Yeah, I mean,
it's common sense. It's just for people that, you know, just like, damn, you know what? There is more, you know what I'm saying? There's definitely more.
And it's attainable, you know, it's
definitely
real.
attainable. It
So,
is.
and we, on top of that, we're going to give y'all, you know, things that y'all can do, you know, to get out of that slump. And actually, you know, because sometimes we get it, people are lost. They don't know what's the next step to take. We're going to cover all of that. We're going to, you know, tell you where to go, what to do to get out of certain situations. And like I said, that's about it. Thank you for tuning in to the Garage Billionaire.
Right.
And this is episode 1 of many to come.
Put it
Facts.
all
Thank you,
on
man.
We're out.
Put it on me. Put it all on me. Put it on me.